Imagine being trapped in the middle of the ocean. The power's out. There's no air conditioning, no Wi-Fi, and worst of all, the toilets don't work. Welcome aboard the Carnival Triumph, or as the world would later call it, the Poop Cruise. In February 2013, over 4,000 passengers boarded what was supposed to be a relaxing 4-day getaway. But by day 3, their dream vacation had transformed into a living nightmare, one filled with sewage, chaos, and desperation. On February 7, 2013, the Carnival Triumph left Galveston, Texas, heading to Cozumel, Mexico. For many, it was just another carefree voyage, sun, sea, and endless buffets. But by the morning of February 10th, disaster struck. Just before sunrise, a fire erupted in the engine room. The automatic system managed to put it out quickly, and no injuries were reported. Passengers were told everything was under control. In fact, some were even encouraged to go back to bed. What they didn't know was that the fire had destroyed the ship's main power lines. And without power, the ship was now dead in the water. At first, people stayed calm. They gathered on the deck, hoping things would be fixed soon. But then came the truly horrifying realization. The toilets weren't working. And they wouldn't be working anytime soon. Crew members began handing out red biohazard bags and instructed passengers to, quote, use them for business, then drop them in the hallway bins. Some thought it was a joke. It wasn't. As cruise director Jen Baxter recalled, peeing in the shower was the easy part. But handling anything else? That was a much bigger problem. With no AC, people dragged mattresses onto the open deck to escape the heat inside their cabins. Sheets and lounge chairs turned into makeshift tents. It didn't take long for things to feel less like a vacation and more like survival. Food spoiled quickly without refrigeration. The kitchen staff threw away everything perishable and started making cold sandwiches for over 3,000 people. Meanwhile, passengers scrambled for any working cell signal when another Carnival ship passed by, just to tell the outside world what was happening. And yet things were still getting worse. By day 2, urine from the showers stopped draining, and passengers kept using the toilets, even though they weren't flushing. A chef on board described public restrooms layered with waste like a lasagna of filth, poop stacked on poop, covered in toilet paper, then more poop. To boost morale, or maybe just distract everyone, someone made the questionable decision to reopen the ship's bars. Drinks were suddenly free, but so were the consequences. People started peeing off the sides of the ship. Others were seen throwing their poop bags into the lifeboats. At first, Carnival tried to control the narrative. A carefully worded press release mentioned technical issues, but conveniently left out the toilet situation. But by February 11th, passengers' family members began calling CNN. Photos, texts, and first-hand accounts revealed the truth. This was no minor inconvenience. It was a full-blown disaster. Soon, every major news outlet picked up the story. The media dubbed it the Poop Cruise. Even The Daily Show and Saturday Night Live couldn't resist taking jabs. But while the world laughed, those on board weren't. Rescue tugboats finally arrived, but towing a powerless 900-foot cruise ship wasn't easy. The ship tilted. Gravity took over. And everything, including the sewage, started spilling. Bathrooms flooded. Human waste poured onto the floors. Some passengers reported sewage dripping down walls. One woman even texted her husband, "Sewage is running down the walls and floor." As the days dragged on, a tent city formed on deck. A prayer group started, and many began to feel like they were in a prison, not on vacation. The ship was finally towed, not to Mexico, but 500 miles to Mobile, Alabama. It took 4 more days. On February 14th, after 8 horrific days, the Carnival Triumph docked. Passengers were exhausted, filthy, and emotionally wrecked. But they were also grateful for hot showers, clean beds, and private toilets. Carnival offered full refunds, reimbursement for expenses, and credit for a future cruise. But many weren't satisfied. Lawsuits followed. One attorney argued it was all preventable. Carnival disagreed, citing ticket fine print that limited liability. Still, the backlash forced them to act. Carnival spent over $115 million refitting the Triumph. In 2019, they renamed it the Carnival Sunrise, hoping to leave the poop-stained past behind. More importantly, they invested $500 million across the entire fleet to improve fire suppression, backup systems, and safety protocols. The company called the poop cruise a teachable moment, not just for them, but for the entire industry. And for those who lived through it, they'll never forget. Some even found silver linings. One bride gave her bridesmaids gifts in red biohazard bags. A man who feared bonding with his future father-in-law, they're now travel buddies for life. It was a cruise no one wanted to remember, and yet no one can forget. What started as a relaxing vacation turned into a viral disaster and an unforgettable lesson in what happens when comfort, dignity, and plumbing all vanish at once. So next time you're packing for a cruise, maybe toss in a few extra toilet bags. Just in case.